we're going to take a look at using a tool called Dsniff. Now, Dsniff is a tool that's used to capture passwords. It's part of a larger collection of utilities written by Doug Song, and these are all ways of collecting information that passes across the network. Now, if I want to capture passwords on the network, I need to make sure that the network traffic all gets to me. So the first thing I need to do is something that we have done before. I'm going to say sysctl-w because I want to write this net.ipv4.ip_forward. I need to make sure that I am forwarding messages that come in back out again. And the reason I need to do that is because I'm going to do an ARP spoof attack, and that's going to allow me to receive messages that aren't actually destined for me. So I need to turn my forwarding on so that messages that come in can be forwarded back out again. Otherwise, the real recipient won't receive the messages. Things will seem a little bit screwy. Somebody might start investigating. Next thing you know, you have been discovered. So we are going to use ARP spoof. Now, you can see ARP spoof is a very simple utility if config. And the reason I say that is because the usage is very simple and straightforward. There's not a long list of parameters. And let's figure out which interface that we want to use. In this case, I'm going to use ETH0. My wireless network isn't actually connected because we've been playing around with a bunch of stuff. It's going to work exactly the same on your wireless network. I would pick WLAN 0 in this case. So I'm going to say ARP spoof minus I is going to be ETH0. And my target is going to be, let's just pick an IP address here, 172.30.42.19, and then need my gateway .1. So now we are doing an ARP spoof, and now all I need to do is run Dsniff. Dsniff is going to be listening on ETH, and let me just kill this, and we get some help here. I can specify the interface. I could actually specify a PCAP file. So what I could do would be to actually capture some packets using TCP dump, and then make sure that my snap length is 0 to make sure I get all of the packets. I could capture packets and then use Dsniff to read through the packet capture. I could also just simply say Dsniff and then just let it run on ETH0 as messages come in if there are any passwords that are being transmitted over the air. Again, if we are doing this over our wireless network, it's going to work exactly the same way as a wired network. I'm going to tell everybody on the network using ARP spoof that I actually am the system that they want to communicate with. So messages are going to come into me. I'm going to be able to look for those. Dsniff is going to look at the application layer protocols based on messages that it understands and figure out where usernames and passwords are being transmitted, and then it will actually print those out. So Dsniff is really helpful. Again, you can use ARP spoof, and ARP spoof is really useful for a lot of different types of network attacks. And in this case, it happens to be useful for using the Dsniff utility that would be used for packet captures. If I bring up man Dsniff, I should get associated utilities. So we've got ARP spoof, and then there are a handful of others, like, for example, file snarf is another one. And there are a number of other utilities that come along with Dsniff that you would be able to use to collect different types of information off of the network communications that are passing by your system. Again, if you want somebody else's traffic, you need to be using a tool like ARP spoof or potentially Ettercap.